SADC region, Ms. Mmamphuto Jesse, and from Women in Mining Lesotho, and from Women in Mining Angola, we have Lizângela Silva. Let's dive into their insights on how their countries can turn these discussions into actions. Good afternoon, ladies, and thank you so much for joining us on Botswana Television.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Maybe let's start from both of you, just to understand the mining sector from the countries that you come from. How is the mining doing thus far?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, first, I'm coming from Angola. I'm representing women in mining Angola. And in our country, women are still underrepresented in the sector. We have mostly men, maybe 80% of men and 20% of women. This number is going to rise, but it isn't enough yet, because of the cultural and structural things, barriers. So we are trying to do our best.
Most definitely you'll get there by time. Now let's get to Lesotho and understand how is the mining sector in Lesotho?
The mining sector in Lesotho is probably most like the one in Botswana, just maybe on a smaller scale. I think being in Africa, it's not so different from what she just said now from Angola. There are less women in the mining industry, so we think the numbers will also rise, getting in the future, which is what we're hoping for, and also grooming our young ladies to be into the mining sector will also help for the mining sector to grow in our country and also in the SADC region.
All right, that's incredible. We'll get into that as we continue with the conversation. But to both of you also, how would you describe women's representation? I believe you already mentioned the fact that it's still low, 20% is represented. From entry level, maybe get to the role of the executive. What persistent barriers are mostly, preventing women from just taking part, full participation in the mining sector within both of your countries?
I think with Lesotho, I think mostly skill, but we're seeing younger girls now going to school to learn mining or becoming mining engineers. So that will enable them to join the industry and work for the mines, and then maybe those numbers will increase. Also, even with the current women that are in mining, it's a few, because also remember she spoke about our cross-cultural maybe upbringings or the values or the norms that we're used to. Women have always been less, and also based to our customary rights and whatever. So for now, I think acquiring skill for the younger generation will increase that drastically in my country and across SADC.
Most definitely. Now,
yes.
In Lesotho, why would we say there are some, what are those persistent barriers, and why are women not much represented in the mining sector?
In Angola, I think it's the same, but mostly I think it's the cultural, because we are taught as young that man is man and women is women, that men do some works and women don't. Men have to like blue, women has to like pink. So I think the society, the cultural barriers are the most who is difficulting the women to reach or to achieve these goals. I think it's
all right.
Like
now,
this.
Mmamphuto, what are the policy changes that are in Lesotho right now that are propelling women to be part of this and taking participation? And what is it that you are doing as women within the mining sector to elevate those who are coming? You earlier on mentioned the issue that they are going to school now to acquire the skills that are needed. What more, or policy changes that could be done so that women can be fully participants?
I think in my country it has never been it has never been much of a problem for women to be really in the industry. That's why I said mostly I think it was also based on our old cultures where men would be working and women would just be at home. That's why I said the youngsters now are going to school to learn. But I don't think in my country there's ever been a policy or those strict rules why women shouldn't be there. So I would say the change that we need naturally is for more women to have more skill, not necessarily being engineers, learning in all aspects of mining. You remember there's business,
chain,
yes, the whole chain. There's a business side of the value chain, there's the communities, there's whatever. So I feel like all women who are interested into joining mining should not be restricted by any laws or anything that can make them not join. The only difference is that when it comes to the value chain, especially in business, you see that in mines, it's more male dominated the jobs, the tenders usually go to men. And I think having women in mining in Lesotho can change that, but only if women participate and do what they're supposed to do. So everything will just go as it should.
Right. But is there a political will within the country to say we are taking this STEM decision, to say we are maybe coming up with structures, we are coming up with, organizations or anything to make sure that we are cushioning women to be to take full part in the whole value chain? Is there any political will?
Yes, there is a political will, because our own Minister of Gender is assisting, and they've been part of us from the beginning. Even our mining ministry is also taking part. If we need anything from them, they assist. It's just that in most cases, when you form associations, for a lack of a better word, resources. Yeah. It's the most common one. And governments will try and assist, but you find that in terms of skills, you can get training. In terms of other resources, which is basically most of the time money, it's not so easy to give money or just to distribute it. So you have to wait and see if there's progress. But honestly, our government is just doing enough for us to say they are going this road with us.
That's incredible. Yes. Now, coming to you, Lizângela, are there any mentorship, programs or enterprise support models that you view have worked well in your country? Are there anything that have been put in place?
Yes, there is. At the WiMBO, Women in Mining Angola, we are trying to collaborate with schools and with the universities in order to create this partnership. And we have 500 associates now at the WiMBO, and we are building these programs to these girls at the school, at the university. Because I think there is a lot of engineers in Angola right now. There is a lot of women studying engineer, but they are not ready sometimes to go to a job, because at the mining in Angola we have to stay at the mining per 19 days, 16 days. It's a very period staying away from home. So we are creating these programs to teach them, to inspire them, to tell them that they are capable to do this job, because it's not a job for men or a women. We are capable to do this and do it right.
That's incredible. Now, I believe as you're in Botswana, we are trying to bring all the SADC countries in place to learn from each other and maybe to propel, measures in place to make sure that women are included. What role can SADC platforms and associates play in promoting gender equality across member states?
I would basically say through SADC, it's collaborations, countries collaborating with each other, and in terms of mentorship, we can mentor each other depending on which country maybe is more experienced, try to learn from it. And then we can also try to find out the common ground that each country stands for, because we have different policies and bylaws in our own countries. So it is best for us to just collaborate and see what best for which country at that particular given time, and what policies are working for that country at that particular time, and see if we can find common ground for all of us to have a fitting table in the mining industry across SADC.
All right. Yes. Now, coming to you again, are there any partnership your country is doing with other African countries or other SADC countries to make sure that at the end of the day we learn from each other to make sure that whatever she was talking about is being put in motion?
Yes, there is. That's why I'm here today. We was invited by Botswana, WiMBO, right? And we are trying to get close to any of these SADC countries to share our realities, to learn from each other, to show them our difficulties and our strengths, and to put the things together, because I think we have the same purpose. It's to lead, to rise, to talk about these things about women in mining. So I think we are going to take some steps, and I think we are getting there.
Right. Now we are wrapping up our conversation. We've got less than 2 minutes to finish this conversation. Maybe as we wrap up, what is it that you think Botswana is doing? We're talking about that, and you said Botswana is some steps further than where you're coming from. What is it that you can learn from Botswana? And whatever is it that is being discussed at this WiMBO that you think should be put in action?
First of all, what I've learned today from our chairperson of SADC Women in Mining, Mmamphuto. Her speech, I think, included most things that we would like to see happening in our own countries or across the region. But what we loved most is what the minister said, the Natural Resources Minister in Botswana, that there's really change, even if it's not maybe where they want it to be, but there are a lot of things changing, like in terms of the same, your value chain, the procurement, also the changes in the procurement, the consideration of women into the mining sector, which was not so much before. So it's what we should take back home and hope and advocate for our own ministries or our own governments to take participation in all of these things and listen and try to drive change, that everything happens across.
Most definitely. And now your last words as your key takeaways from the WiMBO, and what is it that you would wish to be implemented in Angola?
Well, I think we are doing great steps. I think we are at the same line, it's same synchrony. And Angola is with open arms, and we are ready to collaborate, and we will invite Botswana as they invited us.